When a brand tries to feel exclusive and ends up everywhere, it stops being luxury and starts becoming noise. And right now, Gucci is learning that the hard way. Sales are falling, relevance is slipping, and the $70 billion empire behind it is under pressure. So what went wrong? Welcome to the Straight to Point. For years, Gucci was the hottest brand in fashion. It dominated pop culture, drove billions in revenue, and carried its parent company on its back. Gucci was supposed to feel rare, like something you aspire to, not something you see everywhere. But over the last few years, one of the world's most iconic luxury brands has lost that edge, wiping out billions in revenue and exposing a deeper problem inside the luxury industry. Gucci started in 1921 in Florence, Italy. It was founded by Guccio Gucci, who was inspired by the luggage used by wealthy travelers. From the beginning, the brand focused on high-quality leather goods, bags, suitcases, and accessories. It built its reputation on craftsmanship, heritage, and exclusivity, core principles that define true luxury. Owning Gucci meant you were part of a higher class. It was about status, taste, and exclusivity. And for decades, that worked. By the late 20th century, however, internal family conflicts and over-licensing had diluted the brand. In the 1970s and 80s, the company made a big mistake. It allowed its name to be used on too many products through licensing. Gucci products became easy to find. Suddenly, Gucci was everywhere. And when something is everywhere, it stops feeling special. The brand lost its identity. Sales dropped. And by the early 1990s, Gucci was close to collapse. Gucci's revival came in the 1990s under creative director Tom Ford, who repositioned it as bold, provocative, and high fashion. That transformation made it one of the most desirable brands in the world. He made Gucci bold, stylish, and desirable again. At the same time, the business was cleaned up. Fewer products, better control, and stronger branding. This success made Gucci valuable and eventually led to its acquisition by Kering in 1999 after a takeover battle with LVMH. Now, Gucci was no longer just a brand. It became a key asset inside a luxury empire, and over time, it became the most important one. Gucci started generating a huge part of Kering's revenue and profit. That sounds like success, but it also created risk, because now the entire company depended on one brand. Under Kering, Gucci became the group's most important asset, but its real explosion came after 2015 when Alessandro Michele took over as creative director. His maximalist, eclectic designs resonated strongly with younger consumers and social media culture. Products like the Marmont and Dionysus bags became global hits, and Gucci transformed from a luxury house into a cultural phenomenon. Financially, the results were massive. Revenue grew from around 3 to 4 billion euros to over 10 billion euros by 2022, making Gucci one of the fastest growing luxury brands in the world and the primary profit engine for Kering. But that success created the conditions for its decline. Think about it like this. If everyone has the same luxury bag, is it still luxury? Not really. It becomes normal. And that's exactly what happened to Gucci. Instead of protecting exclusivity, Gucci scaled aggressively. It released too many variations of its most popular products, expanded distribution, and leaned heavily into trend-driven fashion cycles. In the short term, this drove revenue. In the long term, it diluted the brand. Luxury depends on scarcity and timeless appeal, while fashion depends on trends and constant change. Brands like Hermès and Louis Vuitton focus on products that stay relevant for decades. Gucci focused more on trends, and trends don't last. The numbers show how quickly that shift backfired. After peaking above 10 billion euros in 2022, Gucci's revenue fell to around 7.7 billion euros in 2024, a drop of about 23%, and then declined again to roughly 6 billion euros in 2025, another fall of around 20%. That's close to a 50% reduction in just a few years. quarterly performance has been consistently weak, with multiple consecutive quarters showing declines of around 20 to 25%. The slowdown has been especially severe in Asia, particularly China, which had previously been a major growth driver for the luxury sector. Because Gucci accounts for roughly half of Kering's revenue and an even larger share of its profits, the impact has been severe. Kering's overall revenue declined by around 13% in 2025, and its net income dropped by more than 50%, even pushing the group toward a loss in some periods. This highlights a structural weakness, overdependence on a single brand. Rivals like LVMH operate with a diversified portfolio. It owns dozens of high-performing luxury houses. That diversification matters. At the same time, consumer preferences have shifted. After years of loud, logo-heavy fashion, the market is moving toward quiet luxury, subtle, timeless, and less trend-driven. Brands like Hermès and Louis Vuitton have benefited from this shift because they focus on consistency, limited supply, and long-term brand equity rather than rapid expansion. Today, LVMH's valuation is roughly $400 to $450 billion. Kering struggles below $70 to $80 billion. Gucci is now trying to reposition itself. After parting ways with Alessandro Michele in 2022, the brand introduced a new creative direction aimed at simplifying its designs and rebuilding a more classic luxury identity. The goal is to move away from hype and back toward exclusivity. But this kind of transformation doesn't happen quickly. In luxury, rebuilding perception can take years, sometimes decades. Gucci's situation ultimately comes down to a fundamental business lesson. Growth is powerful, but in luxury, it has limits. When a brand becomes too visible, too accessible, and too dependent on trends, it risks losing the very thing that made it valuable in the first place. Gucci didn't just lose sales, it lost control of its positioning. And now, it faces the difficult task of becoming rare again in a world where it was once everywhere. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos.